She was laughing just hours before she vanished. No argument. No es crime. No es plus. Amy Lynn Bradley disappeared from a cruise ship surrounded by thousands of people, and not a single person saw her leave. That alone should terrify you, because people don't just vanish in plain sight. And yet, for decades, investigators chased the wrong questions, until one forgotten message forced everyone to look back and realize something chilling. Amy may have tried to warn someone before she disappeared. 1 month before she vanished, Amy wrote a letter, a deeply emotional message to her girlfriend, Molly. At first glance, it looked harmless. A love letter, an apology, a heartbroken plea. But buried inside that letter were words that would later feel impossible to ignore. Amy wrote that she felt like there was an ocean between them, that she felt stranded on a desert island, that she was waiting to be rescued. And then the line that refuses to rest. Save me, please. At the time, no one thought twice. Young love, dramatic language, emotional pain. That's what everyone believed. But exactly 1 month later, Amy vanished at sea, and suddenly those words didn't sound poetic anymore. They sounded literal. Investigators have always warned against hindsight bias, the idea that tragedy makes ordinary words seem prophetic. But here's the problem. Amy didn't write that letter after the cruise was planned. She wrote it before anyone knew she would even be on a ship. So why did she choose ocean imagery? Why an island? Why stranded? And why rescue? Those words don't describe a breakup. They describe captivity. On the night she vanished, Amy was last seen dancing in the ship's lounge. She wasn't depressed. She wasn't planning to disappear. She wasn't packing belongings. She left behind her shoes, her ID, everything. All she took were cigarettes and a lighter. That detail matters, because people planning to jump don't leave their shoes behind neatly. And people planning to start over don't leave their identity. Amy vanished between 5:30 and 6 a.m. The ship was moving. The water was dark, yet no splash was heard. No alarm triggered. No body was ever recovered. And here's the most unsettling part. Just minutes after Amy disappeared, before her family even knew she was missing, a man approached her brother and apologized. How'd he know? Why was he already acting like something had happened? That man was a crew member, and his name keeps surfacing again and again. For years, investigators dismissed Amy's letter as emotional exaggeration. But true crime analysts know something important. People under threat often communicate indirectly, especially when they don't fully understand the danger yet, especially when they don't feel safe being direct. Amy didn't write, "I'm in danger." She wrote, "I'm stranded." She didn't say, "Someone is watching me." She said, "I'm on an island." She didn't say, "Help me." She said, "Save me, please." That's not random language. That's survival language. What makes this more disturbing is what surfaced later. A witness testified that shortly after Amy vanished, someone screamed in Spanish, "She's been taken." That testimony was buried. Another witness claimed to see Amy being led away by crew. That was dismissed. Then came the sightings. A Canadian tourist claimed she saw a woman matching Amy's description on a beach in Curacao, with the same tattoos. A U.S. Navy officer later reported meeting a terrified woman in a brothel who said her name was Amy Bradley. Photographs were sent anonymously to the Bradley family of an escort named Jazz. The family believed it was her. The FBI couldn't prove it, but they also couldn't disprove it. Here's the pattern investigators couldn't ignore. Every sighting involved control, surveillance, restricted movement, and fear. This wasn't someone living freely. This was someone being managed. And now go back to the letter, waiting for you to rescue me. And once someone leaves the ship alive, they don't disappear into the ocean. They disappear into systems. That brings us to the most dangerous possibility. What if Amy didn't die that night? What if the letter wasn't symbolic? What if it was a warning? In 2025, renewed attention on the Amy Bradley case has forced investigators to confront something uncomfortable. There is no evidence Amy jumped. There is no proof she fell. And there is no explanation for how she vanished without a trace. But there is evidence of opportunity. There is evidence of suspicious crew behavior. And there's a message that sounds less like poetry and more like fear. Amy's final words weren't written to investigators. They weren't written to police. They were written to someone she trusted, someone she believed might save her. That's how real warnings work. Not dramatic, not obvious, but emotional. And now, decades later, that message still echoes. Because no matter how many theories collapse, one truth remains. Amy didn't vanish quietly. She left a voice behind, a voice asking for rescue. And until that voice is answered, the case isn't over. If Amy Bradley was taken, then someone knows. If she survived, someone protected the secret. And if that letter was a warning, then the truth has been hiding in plain sight all along.